Good evening and welcome to yet another, what I hope will be a very instructive program this evening. We have with us the most distinguished um, Registrar General, and who's going to be with us tonight, and we're going to have a nice and mellow but very instructive discussion here tonight. We'll be talking about some very simple but yet important issues here tonight. We're looking at specifically vital certificates. And vital certificates encompasses birth certificates, marriage certificate, death certificate, and the list goes on. I know that we are here tonight at a moment when we're actually just a few months away from the end of a very important development in our election laws and the actual election process, so to speak. It's historic in the sense that it's the first time in our history we're having comprehensive, significant changes, to our election laws. And one of the important matters that we will be talking about tonight is the whole issue as to the confirmation process in itself that comes to an end, that period comes to an end in the month of October 2026. And we know a number of people have been actually coming to the registry and applying for birth certificates, and it's a situation whereby a number of people believe that it's an easier process to get a birth certificate. It's a cheaper process, and to get a birth certificate and your photograph, a passport size, and of course endorsed by a Justice of the Peace. One of the things that the government has done, and because of the good self of an office of the Prime Minister and that of the government that's currently in office, is in order to facilitate the process of confirmation for a number of people, especially people in the rural communities who may not have a driver's license or maybe a passport, a social security card that is valid, may want to actually capitalize on the whole process. So you have free birth certificates. Of course, the fee has been actually set aside for now by way of a cabinet decision to facilitate that process. What we had, though, I must say to the public, was almost a stampede, in the sense that a number of people took the opportunity to apply for multiple birth certificates for one individual, and thereby placing tremendous stress on the system. And of course, the birth certificate and the vital certificates that I was making reference to a while ago have to be printed on secured paper. So it's not only birth certificate, but marriage certificate, death certificate. All those, have to be printed on a secured paper. So we had a challenge. So we have Miss Sebastian here tonight. I'm going to ask her to introduce herself. And thank you very much for showing up. I'm seeing that you're still in your work attire, and that demonstrates your level of commitment to the country. And good evening to our wonderful listeners. You're listening to the number one station on Ireland, maybe in the Caribbean, so to speak. And it's nice to be back in the studios of DBS Radio. Now, Miss Sebastian, tell us something about yourself.
Okay, so good evening to you, Mr. Blackmoore.
That's okay.
Good evening to all.
Sorry, if you come closer to the mic, I have a mic on the actual maximum.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, so good evening to all the listeners of DBS Radio. I am Nureya Sebastian. I'm the acting registrar of the High Court and Civil Registry of the Commonwealth of Dominica. And I am happy to be here this evening to provide as much information as I can in terms of vital event certificates and the process to apply as well as any other pertinent information which may come up.
Okay. I gave an idea as to when we speak about vital event certificate that's a big expression there. And could you just, although I said it a while ago, sorry for emphasis, just go over when we say vital event certificates, what do we actually mean?
Okay, so vital event certificates refer to basically birth certificates, marriage certificates, and death certificates. At the civil registry, we also issue non-marriage certificates. But really and truly, vital event certificates encompass the major life events that we would go through: birth, death, marriage. So that's basically it.
I deliberately did not say non-marriage. Okay, but the thing is, yeah, good stuff there. Let us start firstly with birth certificates. Maybe you want to give the public your experience at the registry, especially in the recent past, because this is a vital service, and more so as we're now in the process of confirmation, and the issue of birth certificate is a very important document to allow one, to facilitate one to confirm his or her name on the voters list, or to get registered, so to speak. First of all, let us begin with the process of getting a birth certificate in the first place.
Okay, so there are basically two ways in which persons can apply for birth certificate. Well, in fact, any vital event certificate, but in as much as we're speaking about birth certificates, so persons can actually come in to the registry and apply in person, and persons can also apply via the Government of Dominica e-services portal. It's eservices.gov.dm, and persons can apply online. If there are any issues with the applications, the staff of the registry will respond and request additional information or anything else that may be required. But there are basically two ways in which persons can apply for birth certificates. So they can come in to the registry or apply online.
Okay, great. Now, what are some of the documents or evidence one would need in order to get a birth certificate?
Are we speaking of a newborn or
That's a newborn has to be registered, but I'm saying, let us suppose somebody
does not have a record?
Does not have a record, and what the person would need.
Okay, so there are some instances where persons' records may have been destroyed by the fire in 1979, and in those cases there is a specific act which deals with situations like that. That is the Registration of Births and Death New Register Act. So persons can come in to the registry with an old birth certificate if they have one, a baptismal certificate, or other documents which would reflect their birth information, and present that to the registry, and we would do what we call a re-registration. So those documents would be used, scanned onto the system, and we would re-register the individual if they do not have a record. There are some persons who do not have an old birth certificate or a baptismal certificate. The the legislation also makes provisions for cases like that. And in those cases, an application would have to be made to the registrar, supported by two persons who were present at the time of the birth, or who has personal knowledge of the birth, and they would submit evidence by statutory declaration, present that to the registrar, and the birth would be re-registered. So the re-registration can happen in two different ways. So they can bring in their documents. If they don't have the requisite documents, then an application would be made, supported by two individuals who were present at the birth or have personal knowledge.
Okay. For those who are just joining us again, I would just for emphasis, was the information that you are giving out there is so critical. You may want to just go over it a second time, and in the event that somebody wants, because a number of times, as you know, we interact on a regular basis.
We do.
But people kind of get certain assistants, they call them ministers sometimes.
They do, yes.
And then the fact is, it's always important. That's why I believe it's important to engage the public and to provide those basic pieces of information, but yet very important. And so a number of cases, you have situations whereby people they go to the registry, not knowing, but they're not registered at all. They have no record at the registry.
Yes.
And therefore it would be impossible at the moment to get that birth certificate, and that person may want to get a passport to travel for emergency purpose. So let's just go over that in the event that somebody wants to get a birth certificate and the person is not registered, or there's no record for that person, at the registry. What is the procedure that person should follow?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will start with the legislation which is in place. This legislation was passed after the 1979 fire. So this is the Registration of Births and Death New Register Act, Chapter 35, 31. So if a person does not have a record, but they have an old birth certificate, they have a baptismal certificate that they can obtain, or they have other relevant documents which would assist with the re-registration, then they can bring in these documents to the registry, and we would facilitate them by re-registering, what we call re-registration. So we would do a re-registration for them. Now, there's some persons who do not have an old birth certificate. They maybe were not baptized, they do not have a baptismal record, or any other relevant documents which would assist with the re-registration process. So in those cases, they would make an application to the registrar, supported by statutory declarations from two persons who were present at the time of their birth, or who have some personal knowledge of the birth of the individual, and that information would be used by the registrar in order to facilitate the re-registration. So generally it would have to be someone who is older than the person whose record we are trying to recreate. So it would be helpful or most appropriate if someone who is older than the person whose record we are trying to recreate is the person who does the statutory declaration in support of the application for re-registration.
Thank you very much. Very informative there. Somebody's is saying something on the best radio's Facebook page, and the person saying, I'm not sure, is it Andy Joseph? Isn't this process done by a lawyer or legal aid? I'm not sure. We would respond to that before.
The re-registration?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, is it? I want to answer. I don't answer, but you are.
Generally, well, if persons have the documents that I mentioned earlier, they have a old birth certificate or a baptismal certificate, then it's not necessary that it is done through a lawyer. In terms of the application and the supporting statutory declarations, in cases where the person has no documents to support the re-registration, then they may want to seek the services of an attorney.
But I suppose if two people were present when a person was born, the person can attest to the fact that I was there when that person was born on a particular day, blah 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? Wouldn't that suffice? Would that help a great deal?
It has to be done by statutory declaration.
Yes, I'm saying,
yes,
that can help also. Okay, so good stuff there. Now, the person comes in. The person has a record at the registry. How long would it take for that person to get a birth certificate upon application or upon presentation of that person's self at the registry department?
Okay, so for persons who would have received a birth certificate already under the new form of birth certificate, because we had the handwritten certificates, but now, as you mentioned earlier, we have this secured paper that we use to print birth certificates, vital event certificates. So if someone has already received one of the new certificates and there are no issues with the information contained on the certificate, then they would receive the certificate within a few minutes.
So are you coming on this program here tonight in the presence of and you're saying that you can get upon a presentation of yourself and the documents that you need, you can get a new birth certificate in 2 minutes or a minute?
I didn't say 2, but within a few minutes, yes.
No, but few is only one more than 2, so it's basically the same. So you're saying in 3 minutes somebody can get a new birth certificate?
Yes, it's possible. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I want to say possible. What's the period of time would it take one? Because we have been striving towards that for the longest while. That somebody upon application, once a person has everything that he or she needs, ought to be able to get his or birth certificate. What I've said is within 1 minute, but you see right now we're about 3 or 5 minutes, right? So you're saying within 5 minutes. I mean, I think that itself is a significant improvement, I must say. But we can do better, even better than that, and that's the intention, therefore. So is it 5 minutes or 3 minutes or 2 minutes?
It could be either 3 minutes, 5 minutes, but they would get it. Like, they would not have to leave and come back. Okay, they could just wait and they would get their certificate.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. Okay. Now, we had a situation in the recent past, and maybe you want to speak to that, and where a number of people were presenting themselves for birth certificate in large numbers, and maybe you want to share the public. And there was as a consequence, you had a situation whereby the registry was kind of low on secured people. And because I got a number of calls, people were saying that there were no paper, they cannot get birth certificate, etc. I wanted to speak to that and have we gotten this thing under control and why that was so. Although I gave some reasons a while ago, but we may want to actually speak to that.
Okay, well, like you mentioned earlier, Mr. Minister, sometime in April this year, a cabinet decision was taken to issue free birth certificates. As a consequence, we got an influx of requests coming in, and I think that contributed to the limited supply of certificates for printing. But this has been rectified. We are trying to deal with the backlog because we were unable to deal with the demand at the time, but the situation is rectified, and so we are dealing with a bit of a backlog plus new applications that are being made currently.
Well, the thing is, let me just say, and just for the listening public, I want you to go over, because we have people. Good evening to those of you who are joining us on the Best Radio's Facebook page and also on YouTube. And although that is something you referenced a while ago, but somebody's asking, can you apply online? And what is the website? So, I always learned, that when you went to church, if you were late and you missed the sermons, you missed it. You're not going to say because you're this and that, or that person, that the priest or the pastor going to repeat this. But that's a different exercise. The exercise now, the intention of the exercise is to impart knowledge and information. Do you get my point? You know what I'm saying? So maybe you want to just go over that, repeat the website.
The question is, yes, whether persons can apply online. The answer is yes. And applications can be made through the Government of Dominica e-services portal at eservices.gov.dm.
Can you also pay online?
Yes, you can.
Okay, thank you very much. Right.
And the birth certificates are free right now until
I know. But I'm saying
the 14th of October. But the other certificates, they can be paid for online.
The reason why I'm saying that, and let's just qualify this thing. You can recall during this inception of the new measure, the cabinet decision that you made reference to, one person would could have presented his or herself for free 5 birth certificates. Now that was a challenge also.
Yes.
But let me just say, it is one per person.
That's correct.
One per person. So I'm not sure why would people in the first place come and apply. It happened, so I'm happy that we have it under control. And that in itself contributed towards the backlog, etc. Having to actually prepare for Rayburn Blackmoore 6-7 birth certificate. I mean, that's just common. I mean, that's just been unreasonable. You get my point. So it's one per person. In the event to get one, and you say maybe it's destroy or something, but again, one per person. So
the system records when a certificate was last printed.
Yeah.
So we can keep track in that way. So from the time that the decision was made, if a person applies more than once, then they would get the initial one free, but then they would have to pay for any other certificates requested.
Okay, great stuff there. So since then, of course, I know concerns that your government has always been proactive. Made a request for 100,000 secured people. we have gotten the first shipment. Is that so?
That's correct.
And then that will continue to ensure that we do not have, a repeat of what transpired not too long ago, because of course, of the free birth certificates, and so we're getting somewhere. Now, as we speak about the birth certificate, and the significance of the birth certificate relative to the confirmation process, and we're not there to talk about the election laws in its entirety, but it's something that I think is critical, and there's a nexus between what you do and to an extent to as to when somebody's name can be removed from the voters list. And we have heard some for a while now that dead people showing up to vote, and which means therefore people can vote on somebody else's name who had gone to the great beyond, sadly so. But the law places a mandate on whoever the registrar of title is
civil.
To ensure that a particular thing is done when somebody passes on and a death certificate is issued. What is that legal mandate that is placed on you as the holder of the office now? And I know the new law also stipulates the period of time, the month of the year, or the period that you must not can but shall do so. Maybe you want to just reference that a bit before we go to the next areas there. Yeah. Okay.
So the Registration of Electors Act 2025 recently passed legislation mandates the registrar to provide quarterly death reports.
You may want to reference this section. I think it's
section 26.
Okay, right. So people can read it for themselves before they say we give them a Java sack. Yeah.
Okay. So section 26 of the Registration of Electors Act 2025 mandates the registrar to provide quarterly reports. I think it must be 15 days, not more than 15 days after each quarter, and the quarters are from the 1st of December to 1st of March, 1st of June, 1st of September. So these reports are submitted to the Chief Registering Officer on a quarterly basis. So all records of deaths are submitted to this department.
So it's not a situation that if you want to, that you must, according to the law. Isn't that so?
That's correct.
All right. Okay. I just felt that is something that should be made mention of, in light of the fact that as we're speaking about the importance of the birth certificate to the confirmation process, I believe that we could just reference that very important aspect of the Registration of Electors Act, and that you, as the holder of the current holder of this office, you have an obligation in law to notify the Chief Election Officer of people who have passed on, and the law actually specify the period in which you should do so. So that is something I wanted to underscore. Thank you very much. Now we have about half an hour to go again, because you have to drive all the way down to the west, further down west coast and stuff like that. So I appreciate that. Now, so is there anything else you want to say about it before we actually exit this topic, the birth certificate, and move to something else?
Not for the moment, no.
But because there are instances people come and for a birth certificate, I mean, and then the name is not properly spelled,
Yes.
and then maybe the names of the parents are not properly spelled relative to what you had before on your records. Do you want to also speak to that, because that's very critical?
Yes. So the Registration of Births and Deaths Act, Chapter 3530, makes provisions for correction of errors to be made. Section 38 of the Act addresses how corrections of fact or substance are to be made, and these corrections are made by way of a statutory declaration setting forth the nature of the error and the true facts of the case by two persons who are required to give information concerning the birth or death. So it deals with births and deaths. So corrections of birth and death records are dealt with at Section 38 of the Act, and it is done by way of a statutory declaration. Some of the common errors that we see are with regards to the names of the parents. We have quite a few cases where the parents register the children with maybe not their proper name, so a pet name, the name that they are known by in the community. So they would register the children with those names. I don't think these sort of errors would be made right now, because we normally ask for IDs and so on. So, but before, when these measures were not really in place, so persons would just, register the children with not their correct names, and so we find quite a few corrections regarding the parents' names. Sometimes the children's names are not spelled correctly, the address, occupation, sometimes even the date of birth may be incorrect, and these corrections are done by way of statutory declaration. Something else which I would like to touch on, which maybe some persons may not be aware of. So Section 21 of the Act allows for the alteration of a child's name within 12 months of registration. So some persons may give the children a name, and then they maybe don't like the name, or they want to add an additional name. So the legislation makes provisions for them to do so within 12 months. So persons can take advantage of that time period to make any changes that they want to their children's names.
Let me ask you a simple question. Let us suppose, in some cases, children carry their mother's surname. Let us suppose you have that situation, and a child attains the age of majority. That person is an adult, and a person wants to carry his father's surname. What can be done in that? I mean, I know the answer, but I want you to answer. I know some people have been.
Well, the child wants to carry the father's surname, and the father would like to insert his name on the child's record.
Yeah.
Okay. So that can also be done by way of statutory declaration. So the parents would just they would swear to they would give us one statement via statutory declaration, and insert the asking that the father's name be inserted to the record of the child.
Okay. Good stuff. Now, let me see. We have quite a number of people following us on DBS Radio's Facebook page, and some people joining late. Sometimes when they're asking the same questions, so we may want to just a little later. You answer the question about the website. You may want to just give the address again.
It's eservices.gov.dm.
Okay. All right. Let us move to something which is not a nice topic to talk about. Anything that is associated with death is not a nice thing. Ultimately, that is our final devotion on earth. Death, a mortal man. But you have a number of instances where, especially, people want to bring a close, and people want to settle estates, etc., and ask for somebody's will. Somebody passes on, and sometimes the issue of death certificate insurance can be an issue because of some legal imperative. It's nothing to do with the registry, so to speak, but you're the one responsible for issuing those vital events certificates. So some people believe that when somebody passes on, once a death card is issued, that by itself is a prerequisite to getting a death certificate. When that is not so, what are the cases that is not so at all? That having a death card does not automatically mean that you can get a death certificate.
No, so I will say that according to the Registration of Births and Deaths Act, Chapter 35-30, Section 37 of the Act, no death shall be registered unless the information concerning the death is accompanied by a medical certificate of cause of death, not a death card. So the death cannot be registered with a death card. So you must have a medical certificate of cause of death issued by a registered medical practitioner, or at the end of, for sudden, suspicious, unexplained deaths after a coroner's inquest. So if there is sudden, suspicious, unexplained death, then the matter would be referred to a coroner for determination of the cause of death and the circumstances surrounding the death of the individual. So you must present the registry with a medical certificate of cause of death.
Okay. There are also instances when you have sudden death, which also would necessitate an investigation by the police. Mm-hmm. And also what you call a coroner's inquest.
Yes.
And can you just tell us what is the requirement when you have a sudden death situation?
So
what the registry must ensure happens before it proceeds to issue a death certificate in the case where you have a sudden death and there is a coroner's request?
Well, the coroner's inquest would have to be completed.
Okay.
And it is at the end of the matter, when it is concluded at the magistrate's court, that is when a death certificate can be issued by the registry. So in such cases, persons would normally be issued with a permissive warrant from the police, which would allow them to bury. So that would be presented to the registry, and we would issue a burial permit.
Okay, good. Yes. Now, although we were there a while ago, and was somebody asking a question there. The person says that if the parents provided the correct information, but the registry made a clerical or transcription error, who is responsible?
We correct clerical errors, but I mean, every situation is different. But if the registry makes an error, then we would correct the error.
Okay, fine. We have a few more minutes to go there. Those of you listening, and if you want to call or ask a question, normally what we do is to allow the guests to put out as much information as possible, and so, but we can maybe spare a call or two if you so wish, and the number to call is 448-3284 if you so wish. And let us continue. Now, we also spoke about marriage certificates. And when do you issue a marriage certificate? Would you consider it to be an important document?
Yes, it is. It is an important document. When do we issue the marriage certificate? Okay, so after a marriage takes place, the priest, the pastor, may submit a duplicate copy of the marriage register, which the bride and groom would have signed, their witnesses and everything. So that document would be submitted to the registry by the priest, pastor, or some persons bring the document in themselves. So
good evening. Hello? 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 We missed a call, sorry, but yeah, go ahead.
yes, so I was saying that the duplicate of the marriage register is brought in, and we would use that information to register the marriage. If there is additional information required when persons come in to actually apply for a marriage certificate, then the data entry clerks would take any additional information required from the applicant, and a marriage certificate would be issued.
Okay, great. All right, so that's one of the things we're trying to do, and as we have done with the driver's licenses, and what do you want a driver's license, what do you want to license a vehicle, is that we have moved that also to. Good evening. Hello. Good night.
Yes, hello, good night.
How are you doing, sir? Good night.
Good. Please, I know the time is quickly.
Yeah.
At what age does the child has to be? In other words, does the child have to be an adult to be able to insert his name or her name on the birth certificate? I'm listening, thank you.
I'm not hearing.
You get it?
You're not hearing?
No, I'm not. So I don't. If you
He's saying that does the child have to be an adult to insert his name or her name on the birth certificate?
I'm not sure that's clear. To insert whose name?
Can it be done as a minor or as an adult? It has to be done as an adult above 18. In other words, if I want to put my name, if I want to say my father's name, right, as my surname, but at this time it's my mother's name on the birth certificate as my surname. At what age can I request that my father's name be placed on the birth certificate? At what age? Can I do it before 18 or after 18, or is there any age limit?
No, well, if you're a minor, then it would be the parents' decision. They would they would do the statutory declaration to insert the father's name. So at that point, if it is regarding a minor, then it would be the parents' decision. If it is
what if one parent is opposed to that? Let's say the mother is opposed to it. How is that going to be resolved?
As an
adult or a minor?
As an adult.
Well, that changes the complexion. An adult, you're free to take a decision, and yes, so. But a minor would need both parents to consent because you're not competent legally to make a decision on your own by virtue of the fact that you're not of the age of what you say in law, majority.
Okay, so if the mother is objecting to replacing the surname to the father's name, what action can the child take to make it, to have his father's name on the birth certificate as opposed to his mother's name?
You're talking about adults, eh? If the child is an adult.
Yes.
If it is an adult, then the adult would make the application with the father to insert the name of the father on the birth certificate. If it becomes a bit of a contentious situation, then I would say that maybe the intervention of the court may be necessary.
Yeah, and you also have the optional paternity test, or the different stuff. We have a suite of family laws that you pass, which also provide some right to the children, and then again, it also calls for a voluntary participation of the participants. You know what I'm saying? So but in most cases, you don't have a situation where you have somebody who has become an adult and he or she would know that that's my father, but for some reason the father did not claim at the time. I know of adults that have, in the recent past, that happened to. If I've decided, that child look like Mr. So much. To the extent to which that child looks like him more than the other children. You know what I'm saying? As they say locally, coupetet.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, sir. Yes, very interesting phone call there. Now, we have about 4 more minutes to go, and if you so wish, you can call and interact with us. And I was saying that one of the things that we will be doing, I know we have started the process of doing the assessment of decentralizing the issuance of this vital event certificate. I do not believe in 2026 people have to come to the city of Awojo, Vilden, just to pick up a birth certificate all the way from Toronto, Castlebrooks area, Ansidimi, to come right down to Roseau to pick up, to get a birth certificate. And sometimes the person's passage money, as we say locally, costs more than the actual fee for the birth certificate. And the person would have spent an entire day just to get that. We have started the process. Do you want to speak to that? And I want to, before you go to that, I really want to say we have seen since the issuance of driver's licenses have begun in Portsmouth. The first couple of months first 2 months, we had over 800 and something people received the cards in Portsmouth. And those are people who, under normal circumstances, would have had to traverse through the Portsmouth, Collywall, Colby Street, Salisbury, St. Joe, Taro, Mao, Massac, Kingsfield, Fockley, Glasgow area before you get into Roseau. Can you imagine that? The number of villages and hamlets you have to pass. So, and then people will be more inclined to pay their driver's license or to renew their driver's licenses, or to be less inclined to drive illegally on the road. And I think that in itself should provide some kind of template for us moving forward for the other certificates that we need to issue. So the intention is to start with where? Portsmouth first, and then Marigot. And then,
Said Laplin and possibly Castleberg.
Well, no, possibly. Castleberg, definitely. And so, So I believe that too, that's critical. And because these services seem simple, but these little things can be nuisances, can piss off people. And I think, we have to ensure that we continue to work on behalf of the people of Dominica. So I want to really commend you and your staff for what you've been doing. And sometimes you get blows, but I think the service that you provide to the general public is that service is significant, is important, and that is what the government is about, to provide services to the general public and to also make yourself available to bring out information, so people, when they come to the registry, they know that's the document I need. They know that's how long I'm going to wait for a birth certificate or a driver's license. Now, as we end, we were talking about death certificate, and although it's not a nice thing to talk about, anything as I say, death is not a nice thing, but the importance of death certificate in terms of bringing closure to families, and of course, it can be a situation whereby family members want to deal with the issues of the person's estate, want to probate a will, as do all these kind of different things. And do you want to speak to that?
Okay, so I don't have the specific rule before me right now, so I'm not sure the exact provision in the non-contentious probate rules, but I can say definitively that a death certificate is not required or should not prevent someone from applying for probate or letters of administration. There is a provision in the rules for a death card or some document evidencing the death of the person to be submitted, along with an affidavit explaining the non-production of the death certificate. So not having a death certificate does not preclude persons from applying for letters of administration or probate. So that is not an issue. Making that very clear.
What about issue of insurance payment?
That I am not sure if that is a specific requirement from the insurance company. Because
I know of cases, especially in terms of ensuring that when you have, for example, coroner's inquest, and that too, I've had numerous calls from some insurance companies, and that too is something that is why we're very proactive in ensuring that we have the full complement of magistrates, because every magistrate is also a coroner, so that we can expedite the process of having inquests, etc. So so I'm happy that you made reference to the issue about the death certificate relative to the probate, of a will, or bringing closer to an estate. But in some cases, for insurance payments sometimes, and the need for having a conclusion to coroner's inquest sometimes is something that can cause some delay in processes.
Possibly, but that would not prevent persons from getting a grant.
So that is something that we have to ensure that is made clear to the public. Okay, so there not been any more phone calls because we took one tonight, and I just thought that it would have made sense to have you tonight, and I want to commend you for the wonderful job you have done so far in being very clear tonight that one, that you can convert both certificates.
Correct.
And then there's no issue with not having enough people. And it's also absolutely important that we made reference to the marriage certificate and the death certificate, because a number of people believe that it's only birth certificate you need actually need the paper for, secret paper for, and that's not the case. You know?
No.
And then good night. We're just about to leave, but we'll take you. Good evening.
Yeah, quickly, it's an easy question. What is the cost of receiving a birth certificate? What's the cost?
Okay, for now, and until
the 14th of October.
Right? You can.
Yes, after the 14th of October. After the 14th of October, what is the cost?
$20. The fee is $20 for all vital events certificates.
Very cheap.
So your birth, marriage, death certificates, $20.
And if I were to tell you the price for the secret paper, is not worth it. So basically, government is just providing a service to the people, but the $20 cannot recoup the significant cost for the secret people. And okay, thank you very much, sir. Yep. Yes, your final comments there? Absolutely, because I want to let you go. You have to drive all the way. You have to pass now, pass all the, but I don't say where you're living. So, yeah.
Yes, I do. I just want to thank you for having me here. I want to take the opportunity, as always, to thank the staff of the registry for the wonderful job that they are doing. Especially right now, it's very busy at the registry, so I want to thank them for their patience and for all of the work that they are doing. I hope that this discussion this evening would have shed some light for the public, and I just want to thank you again for having me.
Okay, as always, I want also to thank, as I said before, I did in fact recognize the effort of your staff, your staff. It's not easy, although we have made some significant improvement to the working condition, I must admit. And
correct.
See that we just spent a lot of money to procure a new generator. One of the things that we see happening is that whenever there's a power shortage, then we have something happening to the issuing system. So the intention is to ensure that in a seamless manner, once we do not have power from the main service provider, instantaneously the generator will kick in, and I think that would be wonderful. That is significant. So we're getting somewhere.
Yes, we also need water tanks.
Yeah, I also hope Mr. Stout is listening, because I was given the commitment that would have been done this week. So to ensure that that generator comes in, because too many times when you have power shortage, and I'm gonna call the system
is down.
It's has to be reprogrammed, etc. Until that, Mm-hmm. Okay, so disruption. Okay, have a nice night. God bless you, and thank you very much to our listeners. Those of you who are listening, following DBS Radio, of course, on DBS Radio Facebook page. A few of you guys, thank you very much for joining us, and I'm hoping that we answered all your questions from the Facebook page. And yes, we did establish that you can apply online. So there's no need for us to go over that again. So have a nice night. Drive safely.
Thank you.
Okay.
And you as well.
So some other time we'll be back again. And so keep your eyes open on the road. I see your eyes don't ready to close. If you feel sleepy, stop and take a rest. You know what I'm saying? Good night.
Good night.
Yeah.